Exhumation is set to begin today at the former mother and baby home in Tuam, County Galway. It's believed the remains of almost 800 children and babies who died at the home between 1925 and 1961 are buried on the site. A team of international experts will begin excavating the site on the Dublin Road. It's expected to take up to 2 years to complete. Alison O'Reilly from the Irish Examiner broke the story in 2014. She says today has been a long time coming.
It's just a really important day. It is a very, very long fight. 11 years is a long time to try and have this ground excavated and to see what lies beneath and to try and find all of those children who are Ireland's missing children.
Power outages are affecting over 300 homes, farms and businesses in Donlow and Derrybeg this morning. 167 are without power in Donlow and 134 in Derrybeg. ESB say they apologise for the loss of supply and are working to restore the fault as soon as possible. 2 men have been rescued after their dinghy was swept out to sea off Pollen Bay in Donegal yesterday afternoon. They entered the water at approximately 4 o'clock and their boat was quickly taken away from the beach due to strong gusts. The Coast Guard was contacted and the Rescue 118 helicopter was dispatched from Sligo alongside RNLI crews. The men aged in their 20s were rescued 800 metres away from the shore and returned after an hour. They were met by an ambulance and Gardaí. There has been a 26.3% decrease in the number of pubs in Donegal since 2005. A new report commissioned by the Drinks Industry Group of Ireland shows 119 pubs have closed in the county within that time. The figures also show there were 33 fewer pubs in Donegal last year than before the COVID-19 pandemic in 2019, a 9% decline. Nationally, over 2,100 pubs have closed in the past 20 years, with research indicating a further 1,000 could follow suit over the next decade. Professor of Economics Tony Foley authored the report. He says there's a marked urban-rural divide.
The country situation as opposed to Dublin situation is slightly different in that of that 2,100 decline, 13 of them only were in Dublin and 2,106 were elsewhere. So the 2,106 is more than a quarter decline in the pubs outside Dublin.
And now for the weather. Bands of showery rain will continue to clear northwards this morning as sunny spells and scattered showers follow from the southwest. Some heavy and thundery downpours are possible. A cooler, fresher day than of late with highest temperatures of 16 to 21 degrees. That's all from the newsroom for now. We'll be back with another update and the obituary notices at 10 o'clock.
Hiya. Listen, you weren't kidding about pet insurance. I should have got it. Just had Piper at the vet's. She ate what is turning out to be the most expensive bar of chocolate of all time. Don't worry, she's fine. My bank account? Not so much.
Real life. Written by you, underwritten by Allianz. Protect your pet with 12% off new pet insurance policies at allianz.ie. Allianz plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria and terms and conditions apply.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
And a very good morning to you. This is, as we said, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh with you until 12 noon today. We're here with all the day's news and your views, of course, as well. Also, we'll be reflecting on what happened in Croke Park yesterday and even more importantly, what potentially can happen in Croke Park in 13 days' time. So a lot of talk about that. Brendan Devaney is obviously here, as usual, just after 11. We'll be speaking to Oisin before that and we'll be talking
Ireland final. And the lead up.
I beg your pardon. Yes, as we said, there is an All-Ireland final and there will be a lead up, and we'll be talking about the lead up to that All-Ireland final over the course of the programme this morning. Lots to come on that. Of course, your views and your perceptions on the day's news and your thoughts on what's happening locally, across the country and across the world are really important to us. And if you want to get in touch, you can text us 086 60 25,000. That number is good for WhatsApp messages as well. You can call us on 074 91 25,000, 0035374 91 25,000 if you're outside of the dialing area. If you want to email us, of course, you can email comments at highlandradio.com. We're on social media. We're Highland Hub on Facebook. We're at Highland Radio on X or Twitter, call it what you will. And of course, you can stream the show on on our Facebook pages and on our YouTube channel as well, which reminds me, press the presenter button, Donal. There you go. So we are available to watch. You can watch it, as Greg always points out, on your smart TV or your Fire Stick or any device you may have. You can watch it on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, and also on our Facebook pages. And that'll be available, of course, then to watch back all the way through the day and into the night as well. It's a Monday, and we start the programme with a look at the papers, and the Monday edition of the Derry People is out. Front page stories include a story on water in Falcarra and shortages there, an ongoing problem we've discussed very often on the news and on the programme here, and we'll be touching back on that story a little bit later on in the show. Also, speculation continues that Pat the Cope Gallagher, a deputy in former Lascan Corla, may throw his hat in the ring for a presidential nomination. Our understanding is Fine Gael won't make a decision on that until the end of next month. We know that Fine Gael have begun the nomination process, and we'll get a clearer picture later this week as to who the Fine Gael candidate will be. It looks at this point certain it's going to be Mairead McGuinness, particularly after Sean Kelly said he wasn't going to go forward. It's now looking as though Mairead McGuinness will be the only nominee, and therefore there won't be a contest per se. That remains to be seen. Catherine Connolly, the former Lascan Corda, she is a former Lascan Corda. She still sits in the chair occasionally, and she's an independent TD from Galway. She has indicated she will be seeking a nomination. Now, it looks as though she's got the support of the Social Democrats. That's 11 votes in the bag straight away, as well as her own. She's got to get 20 Oireachtas members. She's got the support over the weekend of Deputy Charles Ward of 100% redress. There'll be several senators I would imagine will be backing her as well. And I would be making certain presumptions about senators not too far away from home that I would imagine Eileen Flynn, for instance, would be backing Catherine Connolly. That remains to be seen, but I would imagine that would be the case. And People Before Profit coming out in her support as well. So I think it's fairly certain Catherine Connolly is going to get a nomination. Mairead McGuinness will get a nomination. Big question is going to be, of course, will Mary Lou McDonald run for Sinn Féin? And when that first was mooted just over a week and a half ago, I will be honest, I was sceptical. I thought to myself, I didn't see Mary Lou McDonald stepping aside from her role in the Dáil and her aspiration to be the first female Taoiseach. But the more we listen and go through the figures and the possible permutations, the more potentially possible it seems that Mary Lou McDonald may be in the running for the presidency, and that's very much one where we'll have to wait and see what happens. Let's look at the papers. As I said, the front pages of the Donegal News, that presidential speculation about Pat the Cope, and also the Falcarra water. An interesting story when you go into the paper, into page 5. Request for inquest into man who went missing off Donegal coast last year. A file is to be sent to the Minister for Justice requesting that an inquest be held into the death of a Remelton man whose body has never been recovered since he went missing after going out in a kayak last October. On Friday, what's known as a submissions hearing into the disappearance of accountant Paul Buchanan was held at Letterkenny Coroner's Court. The coroner, Dr. Dennis McCauley, explained that he'd gone out kayaking in 2024, October 3rd to be precise, but went missing. And despite extensive searches, his body has never been found. And that's left his family in a state of limbo. And I can only say how horrible that must be for that poor family. We've all experienced loss, but most of us have at the very least been able to bring the body of our loved one to our home or a funeral home, and we've been able to mourn them. We've been able to bring them to a church or our chosen place of worship or commemoration, and we've been able to give them the burial that we've chosen to give them or the cremation that we've chosen to give them. We have had the opportunity to mourn them, to grieve over them, to respectfully and according to their wishes and our own lay them to rest. People in the case of Paul Buchanan's family and others like them have not had that opportunity, and what a nightmare that must be. And all we can say is it's easy to throw your thoughts and prayers around and say your thoughts are with people, but very much I think everyone's thoughts are going to be with a family who is in that situation. Let's look at the front of the Derry News. Redress needed for tsunami of defective homes, and this is an issue that gets discussed every now and again. It comes onto the public consciousness for a while and then it fades, but it's always there. And it's the number of families from Northern Ireland, particularly Derry, but also from Tyrone, Fermanagh, etc., who have holiday homes in Inishowen or other parts of Donegal, and their blocks are crumbling, and the problem's been raised with members of Derry City and Strabane District Council. It's been raised in the Assembly instalment, and at the moment there is no mechanism whereby they can apply for redress, because the redress scheme as brought forward by government is a scheme geared toward your primary domiciliary residence, your home, basically. It's a scheme for homes and a scheme geared at homeowners. And I suppose it's right that homeowners should take priority. But there are many, many people in that situation where they have second homes, they have holiday homes, investment homes. They've put a lot of money into those homes, and they are now in a situation where defective concrete is having a huge impact, and there is redress needed there. A delegation from the 100% Redress Party has made a presentation on the issue to a workshop of councillors in the Guildhall, and we will indeed be speaking to Deputy Charles Ward on the programme a little bit later on, and we'll certainly be raising this particular issue with him as well. Moving to the Nationals, one of the great things on a day like today is looking at some of the headlines in the Nationals with regards to sport. And I want to hit the tabloids in a few minutes, and when we do, we'll just take a look at some of the headlines pertaining to Donegal's victory over Meath in Croke Park yesterday. And some really, really interesting headlines, and I have to say some very clever headline writers out there still. The Irish Independent this morning, though, there's a big story. It's on the front pages. There's a major story inside as well, and it's something that maybe is having more of an issue down the country in Dublin and in the bigger cities, but it's something that could start to have an impact here as well, and that's electricity provision for people building new houses. And it says families are locked out of new homes waiting for a link to the power grid. Caroline O'Doherty writes in The Independent today that half the country's electricity substations have little or no capacity to connect new housing or other developments. Analysis of the network shows it came to light as 80 families were waiting months to move into homes in County Laois, with many facing eviction and potential loss of mortgage approval. There is a major story on the inside of the paper as well, and it points to a very, very difficult problem. Now, I know here in Donegal we often speak about the capacity of water supply, sewage systems, wastewater, etc., but electricity is a huge one here as well. And as we're seeking to tackle a housing crisis in this country, we need to be looking at the availability of electricity and power, the availability of water, the availability of other infrastructure and resources. And this is something which it mightn't be the biggest problem in Donegal at the moment. But look, we all know here's the situation. The big problem down the country in Dublin, etc., today, almost inevitably, is going to be the big problem in Donegal tomorrow or 2 days down the line. We'll know, for instance, years ago, it was always, rents down the country are terrible, but here it's not too bad up here in the northwest. The rents aren't too bad because here the rents are the cheapest in the country, and look at the rent in Dublin compared to the rent in Donegal, and now suddenly it's, oh my God, look at the rent in Donegal, it's reaching Dublin proportions. So, problems like that, it mightn't be Donegal's problem today, but if action isn't taken today, it could well be Donegal's problem tomorrow. That's something that needs to be, I think, have a very close eye kept on it, and I'm sure Donegal County Council and others are doing just that. Interesting story on the front of the Irish Times this morning. We will be getting back to this a little bit later on the show. Belief of consent may cease as a defence to rape. Ellen Coyne writes that an honest belief that an alleged victim had consented to sex may no longer be a legal defence in rape cases if proposals being considered by the government become law. The Department of Justice and the Office of the Attorney General are considering a proposal to significantly modify the state's consent laws. Now, that could be a major issue, and we'll be discussing that again a little bit later on the programme too. Also, Ireland urges EU to avoid escalating tariff row. Trump's weekend threat of 30% tariffs. Simon Harris says it's a negotiating tactic. Now, I know there's been suggestions that one of the issues with Donald Trump is Donald Trump makes pronouncements and then rows back on them. So Donald Trump will make a threat, I'm going to impose this, I'm going to impose that, I'm going to impose the other. Then he doesn't follow through. There was a suggestion last week where he was talking at one point about 200% tariffs on pharmaceuticals coming into the US, and there was almost no reaction whatsoever on the market. And some analysts were suggesting the reason for that was that the market was going, yeah, he said all that before, and nothing happened. And that if you look at the markets, that sometimes the market reaction to something like that is interesting. And when Trump made what on the face of it was a huge pronouncement with regards to pharmaceutical tariffs, the market, yeah, whatever. It's just Donald on a Wednesday. It's what he does. Remains to be seen if this happens, if these new tariffs being imposed, he says, on the EU from the beginning of next month come into force. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Let's move now to we'll do the mail first. Patient assaulted by A&E paramedic. Gardaí are investigating allegations that a woman was drugged before a sex attack when brought to a hospital's emergency department. Now, there's not too much detail on the story and the location, etc., but that is a horrific story, and we'll be keeping an eye on that one because that's an absolutely horrific story. Looking inside the Irish Daily Mail, 6 children killed in Gaza strike by IDF drone, 10 Palestinians, including 10 children, killed yesterday while collecting water in an Israel attack. I mean, that story has just become that horrific everyday story where you look at it and it's almost like we're becoming immune to it now because every day we're hearing of children killed. This is people killed by, and let's just say this again because I think we really have to focus on this, and I know there's been a lot of discussion about it. They were collecting water. That's what they were doing. Collecting something that before I came in here this morning, went into the kitchen, brought my water container, I filled it with water, I brought it in so that I could have a drink of water over the course of the show. And do you know how much I thought about it? I thought nothing about it because it's a thing I do whenever I come to work. I'll bring some water, I'll take a drink of water, I'll just grab some water out of the tap. It's the most inane, commonplace, ordinary thing you do every hour. You go to your tap several times a day. You don't think. Imagine being in that situation where a parent says to a child, run down and get me some water. Imagine saying to your child, run down and get some water. And at the back of your mind, you're wondering, will there be an attack? Will they come home? It's just, sometimes I think we're almost immune to the horrific enormity of that situation. Okay, let's go to Irish Daily Star this morning. One of the Star's own photographers was killed in a road tragedy at the weekend. Our hearts are broken. Tributes pour in for award-winning photographer Mick O'Neill. That's on the front of the Irish Star, and that's that story on the front, indeed, of the Irish Daily Mirror as well. But it's interesting to look at the various tabloids, the headlines with regards to Croke Park yesterday and the match between Donegal and Meath. Really interesting. The Irish Daily Star front page, Royals flushed. Then you look at the back page, done and dusted. Obviously done being the first 4 letters of Donegal. Irish Daily Mirror this morning, Kingdom come on, there's the Kerry, but then the back, I think this is possibly my favourite, Gym and Tonic. Paddy credits boss for reviving Donegal. Gym and Tonic, I like that. I think that's a bit clever. And then front of the Irish Sun, the thrills of Donegal, and then you look at the back, Jim plan works out. And Paddy McBurty hailing Jim McGuinness for ending Donegal's era of underachievement. Some great pictures too. Dara O'Bweel, I think. There's a picture of Dara O'Bweel on a lot of the papers this morning. Fists clenched, mouth open. You can just tell that's that sort of, come on, we're doing this. Great picture. And congratulations, obviously, to the Donegal team. We'll be speaking about the match and its aftermath over the course of the programme, so we won't dwell over much on that. So that's the way your papers are looking on this Monday morning. As I said, you can give us a shout, give us a buzz, get in contact if you want to share your perspectives on those stories or anything else you believe is worthy of discussion. It's the 9 to Noon Show. It's Highland Radio, and we'll take a short break back after these.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.